I just don't think Lindholm ultimately makes sense for the Vancouver Canucks. And really, the thrust to me is, can you have three centers all making north of $7.5 million? And if you can, what does that mean? Like, we know this team needs wingers. We know that this team has three defensemen currently under contract, so they've got to either retain or go out into the market and reshape their defense core, and that's not going to be easy. Look, Rick Tocchet loved the playoff version of Elias Lindholm. Are you getting that, though, or are you getting the guy that sort of meandered through a regular season, probably wondering a little bit about his future, ultimately was traded to the Vancouver Canucks? But I just don't know that they can allocate that much of the salary cap, even as it goes up. Elias Pettersson's not playing the wing. Like, for the long term and even the short term, like, the best interest of the Vancouver Canucks is getting Petey back to being the star that can run his own line, run the show. JT Miller's not going anywhere. He's now a centerman for the Vancouver Canucks. So can you be three deep? Not so much with the players, but their price points in a hard cap world.
Yeah, I mean, you also wrote about Elias Pettersson, and one of the most important things for them to do is to get him mentally, physically, emotionally ready for next season, whether that's on the Vancouver Canucks and whatever they're going to do, or that's on Elias Pettersson doing whatever he needs to do wherever he is. But that's an issue on its own. We'll focus on Elias Lindholm here. If you're paying your third line center to play with Connor Garland, I mean, I don't think that that's a recipe for success for the Vancouver Canucks. It's apparent they need a scoring winger. Brock was that guy for them this season. Niels Höglander did score a bunch of goals, but you need that other threat. Connor Garland had a really nice season, but you can't rely on him night in and night out to be that guy. At some point, the potential of him is going to reach its peak. He gave you everything he had in those playoffs, and that's peak Connor Garland. But from the Vancouver Canucks standpoint, Jeff, I think they're going to have to get creative here, because you look at the UFAs of the wingers. Jake Guentzel, from my understanding, is probably going to play somewhere down in the States, to be completely honest. What if he does get to free agency, it's going to be somewhere down in the States. I'm not entirely sure the Canucks are going to be able to make that work, even if they do take a really big run at him. But a lot of those other guys, they're north of 30 years old, right? So the creativity part comes into play here. If you're wanting a young scoring winger, you're going to have to do it via trade, right? You're going to look at some of these guys that are RFAs with their current teams. You're going to look at some of these guys that maybe have 1 or 2 years on their contracts, maybe even some term, and go and try and make some moves that way. Because going after a guy that's 32, 33 years old because Elias Pettersson likes him and Tyler Toffoli, he's going to want Alex Killorn type of money. That's a lot of money. I don't think the Canucks are willing to pay that. But for Elias Lindholm's purposes, I agree with you, Jeff. Just paying three centers, that kind of money is not really a recipe for success, unless in the back of your minds, you're still worried about your big ticket guy, and that's number 40.
Yeah, and as I said, like, Rick Tocchet ultimately coaches this team. He's not the general manager, but I think that there is enough communication back and forth, and this organization, I mean, one of the successes is that they are streamlined. And so we saw, I mean, just based on utilization, we saw how much Tocchet appreciated a right shot center that could win key faceoffs, could play late in games, protect the leads, the penalty kill. Like, there's no doubt that Elias Lindholm could help the Vancouver Canucks. It's just a question of, can you find somebody else that can do some of those things, nearly at that level, but at, a quarter of the price point or half the price point. And as you said, like 10 or 12 suitors, there's going to be a team out there, in free agency that gives Lindholm pretty close to what he's looking for. I mean, Boston obviously is a name that gets linked out there, but there's others. And quite often there's a surprise team that sort of comes out of nowhere, but opens the wallet and says, hey, we want you to be a part of what we're doing. And I think teams would look at the playoff performance, 10 points, 5 of them goals, the overtime winner in Nashville. Again, like, Lindholm did a lot of good things. Once he got right and got healthy, there's no denying that this is a very good hockey player who has set himself up really to hit the home run contract for the first time in his career. And that's why, again, like, I'm never going to deny a guy getting his bag. Like, I just think, there are so few opportunities.
Thanks for watching this video. For more great content from Canucks Army, check out Sekeres and Price, Rink-Wide Vancouver, or our show, Canucks Conversation. We're your one-stop shop for interviews, breaking news, and a live Canucks postgame show hosted by Jeff Patterson.